to give the employee of the month.
That's Mr. Kenworth. Mr. Kenworth. That's what kind of truck he drives, Kenworth.
Charles, would you come up here and pay no attention to him? This is Charles Clark, and he's one that's out on the roads all the time, and whether it's raining, sleeting, hailing, whatever, snow. And would you tell them a little bit what you do? You're in a big truck, aren't you?
I drive the brush truck for Mount Carmel, pretty much pick up all the garbage.
And let me remind you that it will not be picked up except your brush, except the last week of the month, right? And they have to call in before they stop and pick it up. So please let everybody know that this is the way that it's working now, because it's a brush truck. And the services started out to be a brush truck, and it got out of hand, and so it's costing us so much money. And how many times a week how many times a day do you average? About 5 times? Not now, probably, but
What, to the landfill or
to the landfill.
Twice.
Twice a day now, so it used to be about 5 times before we passed that ordinance, right? But anyway, we appreciate all you do, and you're out in the sun, you're out in the sleet, and you're all of you out. We appreciate you. And would you tell Jason and all the rest of the guys, they have done a wonderful job to put this for our event this weekend at the city park. But their decorations are gorgeous. Please, if you see any of these guys out, please tell them thank you for doing the work that they do, because it's hot out there to do it, isn't it? So we appreciate you, and you can go home now.
Thank you.
The approval and correction of the minutes of the board mayor dated August the 24th. The committee department reports and monthly finances. Do I hear any questions about this?
Make a motion to accept it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Now, we would like to have the visitors' comments, and all persons wishing to address the board shall stand and state your name and your address, and shall be limited to a brief presentation. The board is not participating in any discussion and cannot vote for the subject you present. Absent an emergency, the earliest time the board can discuss this and vote on the matter will be at the next board meeting. Individuals and groups, representatives who have placed an item on tonight's agenda will be allowed to make comments, and when the agenda comes open, when the agenda item is open for discussion. Our old business, discussion and consideration, the ordinance 23-528, the ordinance establishing the maximum amount for the purchase without public advertisement. Do I have any discussion on that?
We can't do old business until you finish up with the minutes.
I think he's saying we need to take a vote on the minutes. There was a motion and a second.
Motion the minutes, okay. Do I have a motion? We did just now, right?
It's just, you got the motion and second, that we just forgot to get a vote on.
Oh, we're gonna have to get a vote on it.
Okay, on the minutes.
Okay,
That's all.
on the minutes. All right. All right.
Just all in favor. All in favor.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay. Now, the old business is discussion and consideration of ordinance 23-528, ordinance establishing the maximum amount for the purchase without public advertisement.
Let's have public comments first.
So, you want to discuss anything in that, Emily?
I'm a little bit confused by the way this is written. It says 3 written quotations are required whenever possible for purchases costing less than the $25,000 bid. That confuses me. I mean, I thought the whole point was to allow the town to do the $25,000 without the bids.
still have to have competitive pricing, so you have to get, at least the 3 bids to,
This could be done over the internet, right?
yes.
That's different, instead of soliciting bids and having a company submit an actual bid, she can go ahead and access the Walmart website, the Sam's website, whatever it may be, and get her competitive pricing that way.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it'll save some time, hopefully.
Didn't make sense to me.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll move on now.
I'll make a motion to accept it as written.
I'll second.
Alderman Jim Baird,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillen,
No.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Schubert,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Moss,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Same.
I voted no the first time. I ain't about to change my mind.
New business, discussion and consideration of a draft EMS contract. Would you like to discuss that before we start? So the people out here will know what that is.
I think she needs for me on this one because I've talked to, that's the contract for the lease of the rescue squad building, whatever we call it, where the rescue squad is now working out of. When they changed over, the old one went bankrupt, the new ones came in. We never really got a new agreement signed, so it's several years down the road. This is a lease for that to the Hawkins County Rescue Squad, the EMS and Emergency Medical Services, okay? The contract is pretty much a standard type of thing. The only noteworthy thing is because of the upheaval in EMS services in Rogersville and how they're gonna be structured, whether there's gonna be a walkout of Hawkins County EMS, whether there'll be the acceptance of a quasi-governmental entity. The long term, we're not sure how it's gonna, so we've reserved in here, the exclusive right. The town reserves the exclusive right to terminate the lease for any reason upon 30 days written notice to the MS. That's the only thing I would point out. Other than that, it's a pretty standard language lease. The lease was shipped to Hawkins County EMS 2 weeks ago, I thought, by email, but it never arrived. So I got a hold of Jason Morrell, who's the director down there. I re-emailed it to him. He's got it. He's going to present it at the October 2nd meeting of their board of directors. And hopefully it will get sent back then without any changes or just small changes. And I believe Emily's then going to have a resolution on the next month's agenda to accept it and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Do you just want to table this until next month, until this comes up?
Yes.
I make a motion to table it.
I'll second. I do want to ask you a question. Wait
Wait a minute, we got all in favor? Any opposed?
On that 30 days you mentioned, is that if you want to cancel your contract, you have to give 30 days notice?
Yes.
Okay.
Normally it'd be a little more extended than that, but the situation's in such flex right now, we're not sure how it's gonna play out. Have to protect the town, make sure that we have the facility available for whoever's gonna be providing service to the town.
So, we'll table that then for the next month. Okay, and we'll discuss it at the next, our next planning meeting. C is discussion and consideration resolution 23-630, a resolution forming partnership with the Mount Carmel Elementary School. We need to discuss this too, to explain so these people will hear and know.
That is an item led by Alderman Gibson.
Yeah, if y'all wanna read it, that's fine.
Whereas Tennessee Code annotated 49-2-405 authorizes and encourages school districts and cities to organize, promote, and conduct community recreation programs and activities to promote the health and general welfare of the community. And whereas Mount Carmel Elementary is a multiple-time reward school recipient known for its commitment to providing high-quality education to the students of Mount Carmel. Whereas the city of Mount Carmel is dedicated to enhancing the overall well-being and quality of life of its residents by supporting initiatives that foster community engagement, health, and recreation. And whereas there exists a mutual desire between the city of Mount Carmel and Mount Carmel Elementary School to collaborate and establish a partnership that will leverage their respective strengths and resources for the betterment of the community. And whereas this partnership seeks to create a framework for cooperation that aligns with the educational mission of Mount Carmel Elementary School and the community development goals of the city of Mount Carmel. And whereas the partnership aims to create an inclusive environment that fosters positive relationships between students, families, school, staff, and community members, ultimately contributing to a sense of belonging and shared identity within the city. And whereas this collaboration will encompass a range of initiatives, including but not limited to programs with Mount Carmel Library, summer events, recreational activities, workshops, seminars, and cultural events that reflect the diversity and interests of the Mount Carmel community. Now, therefore, be it resolved, a mutual agreement to establish a formal partnership aimed at enhancing the overall quality of life for the children and students of Mount Carmel, that shall be guided by a shared vision of community well-being, educational excellence, and inclusivity, that both parties are committed to working collaboratively to achieve the goals and objectives outlined in this resolution.
Make a motion to
Question
accept.
on that. How come we ain't had anybody from school come down here and talk to us about that?
What would you like to know about it?
Well, I'd like to see what their interest is.
They're very interested in.
Well, they ain't nobody been down here, John, not a soul.
So all this is doing is basically encouraging the school to use our facilities. That's it. There's no bindingness of financials,
What
Nothing.
facilities, John?
like the park,
Okay.
stuff like that. It's just, it's a form of us to have communication with the school. That's all.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I still think somebody should come down here to get some support from their kids on it.
Could you, John, I don't know who is
They have-
after this, but can you have maybe,
Yeah, I'll see if they're interested in coming down and speaking, but
yeah,
I'll second your motion.
just next, maybe next meeting that you can have them to come and explain?
Sure.
Appreciate it.
This is led by the town of Mount Carmel.
Yeah,
This is something that's an initiative.
We reached out to them.
yeah, not the other way
We
around.
reached out to them,
Okay.
not the other way around.
But let me, this might not be the appropriate time to do this. Maybe they could come, somebody from the school at the workshop and talk to us about the problems they have with the traffic. I had somebody complain to me, this week about trying to pick up their grandchildren. Maybe the workshop, maybe you could talk to them and see
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
they.
Because, well, I know I came through last month and I like never got through. And it was scary, as far as trying to get there, people turning out, turning in.
Yeah.
I think we need to, since it's on the agenda, we need to have a motion and a second about what you want to do. Is it take a vote, or you want to table, or you want to vote on it now, whatever you want.
I made a motion to accept it. And
I'll
John
second
seconded.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Yeah, me.
I'd like to know, I'm like Jim, and this is the first time I've heard him say this, but I'd like to know, what their take is on it as far as their, responsibility too.
No responsibility, but expectations. Yeah. But I'd say they'd like to have something seen or done about the traffic.
That sounds like a good idea to me. You could, like you said, have somebody extend the invitation to ask them to come to a workshop and see if they have any suggestions perhaps
Exactly.
on the traffic, because we hate to do something that ends up, they're probably aware of it as the best way, or at least a good way to try to alleviate some of the backlog. Yeah, I think that might be a good thing to perhaps have the town administrator extend the invitation for somebody, or it could be what, the PTA person, or it could be anybody up there that, they have.
Well, I was at the restaurant, we talked to the sign
I think that-
We're not the PTA, that would be controlling the traffic pattern up there, it'd be probably the administration.
That's actually our responsibility, the town's, not theirs, because
Yes.
they resolved their issue with it, which created an issue for us, but if the parents of that are picking up their children would just come at the appropriate time, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right, but they're sitting
More
there,
information.
they're sitting there
Yeah.
sometimes 30, 40 minutes.
We've
before-
already had the discussion with them.
Fine.
Yeah.
Did we have a resolution on that?
I
I don't remember anything.
Can we not
Around
talk
here.
to, the police, our chief police, and ask him to help us to resolve this problem before we vote and anything, accepting anything else? Because, they need to get involved in this, because I know they used to have a police there for all the time, I'm sure they still have one.
Not to interrupt you, Mayor, but this resolution has nothing to do with parking.
That's true. No, this is just, you're absolutely right. It's not something that's on the agenda, so we can put it off to the workshop or anything.
Some of the teachers may have a clear idea of what would be better, some of the teachers.
And the teachers that's been there for years knows the problem, it's been there for years.
Yeah.
It's been there since, even my grandson is 32 years old, and it was a problem then, so it's always been a problem.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to discuss all of what I have had discussions with Mount Carmel Elementary School about that. I can discuss that at the workshop.
Okay.
How old is your little girl?
She's not in school yet, but
Just a couple of years away?
yeah, next year.
So you'll be one of them.
And the line,
Yeah.
well,
Next one, D.
discussion, you want to table it, is what you're saying?
We already voted on it.
Okay,
They
all
voted
right.
on to pass it. That's what I understand.
Okay.
Is that not correct?
6
Yeah.
months.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so that passed then. Okay, discussion consideration to reschedule regular BMA meeting date of October the 19th and change it to October the 19th and change, the November date to the 16th. Do I have any questions about that?
Make a motion to accept.
All in favor say aye. Aye. I will be there, by the way. Because I have, I finish at my,
In November.
senior Olympics next Saturday, I think it is, over Johnson's Hill, at Science Hill, so it didn't interfere with this thing. You made the motion, Mindy?
I second.
All folks say aye. Have we done that? Yeah. I can't remember one thing to the next right now. Discussion, consideration to modify, hall. Now, discussion and consideration of ordinance 23-529, ordinance to amend chapter 6, sections 14-610 off-street parking. You wanna have any input in that, Emily?
Does the board wish to have the ordinance read or wait for reading?
I just summarized.
Just read section one.
And
Well, because they do not have anything, the media and these people, so if you read it.
Okay. An ordinance to amend the municipal zoning ordinance of Mount Carmel, Tennessee for the purpose of amending chapter 6 municipal planning commission section 14-610, section C for off-street automobile parking / parking services. So section 1, will change section 14-610 off-street automobile parking services to read, all parking other than single and two-family residential shall be paved with asphalt, concrete, or permeable pavers. However, gravel driveway and parking surfaces are permitted with the following stipulations. building code required ADA parking spaces, including ADA loading areas and a minimum of 3-foot wide accessible walk to an ADA compliant entry point, which must be paved, concrete, or similar smooth, hard surface. And the entire drive and parking area are to be gravel covered with a base course of large stones, 1 inch minimum, and a finish course of crusher run or finer gravel. And C, gravel that migrates into the ground over time must be replaced with no dirt or grassy, must be replaced. No dirt or grassy driveway or parking areas will be allowed. D, owner or occupant is responsible for removing any gravel which migrates off of their property. So the former requirement was that all parking surfaces had to be paved, and now, with the recommendation from the planning commission, they have, waived to Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. Okay. We will move on then. Okay, the discussion and consideration of appointing committee members. I don't have any members that need to be now. Stephen has told me again this week. I called him and asked him, had he been called, and he keeps saying no. And he said that he's been to all of them except one, and he also told me that y'all decided to put it to, it was at 4:30, and he gets off at 4:30, and he was late coming in on one or something, and I'd like for him to still get.
So he came to all the city events?
He said he's only missed one.
City events? Because he wasn't at the Easter egg.
No, he did not
wasn't at
say,
the
he-
Earth
no,
War, he
I
wasn't
did
at the
not,
water event.
hold it a minute, I didn't ask him, I'm
But
sorry.
he's required to come to events too, which he refuses to do. So I'm just.
Well, now Mindy, let me tell you something, you've missed a lot of
For meetings because I had coached soccer too.
Well,
So,
He
Pat,
has
you
things
missed
to do.
meetings too.
yes,
Okay?
I've missed one
So
meeting,
anyway.
one meeting, it's
Motion
2
to
years
table.
up in here.
Well, the thing of it is, Steve drives flatbed and sometimes.
Listen, he wanted, he
Let
made,
him, let
he
him,
was
let
the
him
chairman
talk.
of the board.
Okay.
Okay, whatever.
Sometimes he don't get in, he works on the most of the time, he don't get in till 5:30.
Well, now, he told me the other day he was starting to get in at by 4:30 anyway.
He's just doing-
And so, and what time is your meeting?
There are always different
There's no
times.
set time.
There's no set time.
Is that a consensus?
Well, it works for everybody and he never responds when the email is
Well, yeah,
sent.
like I said, he says he don't get the thing, so I would like to still yet keep him on there because,
Then
he's
he,
just got
I'll be there
another
next
year.
Saturday instead of planning another vacation because he didn't get to have an event.
Well, I'd still like to
They told the
say,
chairman that, so.
well, I'd still like to keep him on there until his time is up is next year.
Okay, by the bylaws though, he hasn't been there.
Well, y'all should make sure that if you don't get him, if you don't call him, or how do you get a hold of him?
Marilyn sends emails and she sends group
I'll
texts.
try that. Motion to table.
But, whatever.
And I still would like to keep him on there till his time's up. When is y'all's time up?
Next year,
In July next year? I thought it was July this year.
no. We voted on it last year, it's 2 years.
Y'all remember you voted on it. And I don't mean to make you mad or anything.
Oh, no, it's just we put a lot of work into this and he's done nothing. But he gets to sit on a board that he does nothing to
It
contribute.
takes up a seat of somebody who could be helpful.
Exactly. Who wants to help.
Well,
Which committees? What do the bylaws say about taking people off the committees?
I'll find
Is that in the bylaws for the committee to do, or is that for the?
It's a voluntary voluntary.
I don't think it'd be the right thing to do because the man's got an odd schedule or something, and he might be out there.
And he should have never have asked to be on the
Well, you
committee.
do the same thing, you called in, it counted too.
On the
yeah,
what?
because when you go to ball game, you don't come to the meetings.
Okay, well,
Yeah, pull it out of
I still come to every other meeting I'm
She's
supposed to
reading,
come
so
to.
that's.
I don't.
Well, I'm trying to say what's fair for the gander is fair for the goose.
gosh.
Vote, then.
He is taken away from a seat from somebody who wants to. So this is an elected seat, so I can miss every meeting
Well, now you
until the next
complained
last day
with,
if I wanted to.
was not the, Alan on there at one time?
No, Alan never has been on there. Now, he's helped. He's shown up to every event for the most part.
Alan was on the committee for.
He was on the block party.
Yeah, block party. That's what he was on.
But, you know, we had a member.
When this was first established,
There's only
it was a
five.
new committee, correct,
But-
Sean?
Correct.
But
And
who
I was on,
established,
I was
okay,
on that committee.
let me ask you this. Who established it? You didn't come to me to ask for yourselves to get on that committee.
We voted on it.
We all voted on it.
And you voted on it
You,
too.
we already formed the committee.
Well, no,
Yes,
Yes, yes. I
Absolutely.
promise you this. I
you
wrote the
didn't
bylaws.
give me a chance to also, you didn't give me a chance to pick the ones. You just formed the committees and put
We all
yourself on
voted.
There
there.
was names that were
Motion was
given.
Well, at that
She has
time,
about to sign.
What?
Is there actually?
We have a motion to table.
I'll second, please, Louise.
okay, table that. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Any about
Is,
opposed?
let me clarify, please. Is this tabled to the next meeting?
Yeah, because we have an event next week,
Okay,
so we'll see if he's
you-
there the
You can
entire
also
time.
table to an indefinite period,
Yeah.
indefinite
Yeah.
period. So this is.
To the next meeting.
What he says, here's what he says. He says,
There's a motion and a second on the floor.
he says to me, he said, they don't want me on that. They did not want me on that at the beginning, and you appointed me, and they didn't like it. And I said, well, I said, I don't know, I don't wanna get in that mess, you know. And, but I told him, I said, I'll just leave you on there till the.
So there's a motion
person-
before the board to table until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So if you can take some kind of vote on that, that would probably be proper. I think they got it.
And if he doesn't show up, Saturday,
Next meeting.
You're,
Yeah, to the next meeting, yes.
That's the only one I probably support tonight.
Well, that's what I said, you were in favor. Oh, yeah, geez.
we already.
Well, thank you all for coming. Media, you got your story now? Yeah, so, anyway, we appreciate you all, what you do.
Okay, we can get a motion to adjourn. 'cause we'll-
Wait,
Well, we gotta go through
We
this
got
all
it.
first.
I'm sorry, we got the comments.
I see, we get mixed up, don't we?
I apologize.
Let's say that that's because of our age. But anyway, I wanted to, first to say that tomorrow, at the city, park, you wanna explain that, Emily? We'd like to get everybody involved in this town for tomorrow to accept. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna go over that at my turn, if you have anything else, I can go over it.
Okay, you wanna go over that then?
Well, I'll wait my turn.
Okay, it's your turn, okay?
Unless you want to.
Okay, I thank everybody for coming and, try to work things out the way, for the best of the, town. The vice mayor,
I'll see everybody tomorrow.
okay, you all come tomorrow, we'd love to have you, the media too. Darby, Alderman Darby,
Yeah, I want to thank Emily for tomorrow there. She's the one done this. It went for her, we won't be having this tomorrow. She put a lot of work into this for us to have this, grant. And I think all the credit needs to go to her. I really do.
Well, you'll do anything to make a brownie point, won't you?
Hey, you agree with me?
Mindy.
I ain't gonna have a choice.
Anything's for good for the town, we want it.
Right. So, something good for the town, just a reminder that we have the third annual Fall Festival next Saturday from 2:30 to 7:30 on Main Street. We have bands, food trucks, a bunch of vendors, bounce houses, face painter, we'll have a sidewalk chalk contest again.
Over 35.
You do have a caller, you do have,
Sewer, whatever you wanna call
whatever
it.
you want to call
I
it.
don't care which one you call it. You call it shit house, I don't care. Well, anyway, we need a directory of everybody's phone number where that they can call if that switch goes off, it's quit pumping. Now, we used to have that.
We need the phone, I think, to come back into this building.
The,
Are you thinking that anytime soon that the city will have the phone calls answered here instead of over to the police department?
We, for wastewater, if someone's light is going off, we've got a phone that goes directly to whoever's on call, so it goes automatically to their cell phone.
If you have that number.
Yes,
But the
and,
number, the only number I had was in the phone book
mhm.
and said it wasn't a working phone. But we were so desperate.
I
we
tried to
were
call for you,
moving
and I got
over
the
to
same
the,
thing.
So why can't we get a directory made up, got the correct phone numbers in there? You're not available on the weekends all the time. May have to go around and kind of put you to the side to get on somebody, you know? I think it just, you know, be a good thing, put everybody's names in here on the board, put it in there.
And I've had several complaints about people calling and and getting the police department. Said I wouldn't want to get the police department. I said, well, that's where they're answering the phone over there. She said, well, I would like to see, back in the city office. I said, well, I'm like you, I would too, but I said that I will bring that up again and to have it put back in the city office.
Do we have like a directory? I think you got one, 2, 3, 4, and maybe whoever that number you have, they can hit that number and it'll go straight to the person on call.
That's what, the way we had it, and that's what you're saying you got a complaint about. So we actually took that off, so now the phone rings all through City Hall, and we just have to then transfer it to whoever it needs to go to.
So we had an IVR and got rid of it?
Yes,
Why did we get rid of it?
the complaints,
But that's just something people have to get trained on.
yes. We're gonna try again.
I think I called, either yesterday or the day before, I called you all and I got a recording and nobody answered.
It shouldn't be that way, it rings straight in.
Because I
There's
called,
not any kind of recordings anymore.
but I
Does the
called
sewer plant have a
and
phone up there, or
They
they got a
do.
cell phone they can
They
answer?
do. One thing that we've really been trying to do is direct people to like our social media page and website.
not everybody's got computers though.
Right,
And
so,
not everybody knows how to use a computer.
right. So we'll work on getting a directory printed that people can pick up at City Hall.
Okay.
So are they going to get a phone at the sewer plant?
They have one. They have one.
They have their own
Phone
phones
book
too.
number wasn't right.
They have their cell phones too.
Yeah.
Every one of them has a cell phone, don't they?
Yes.
How many times did you get a call from that somebody?
Well, I called, Emily, I didn't know what else to do. I called her, and then I called Jason. Well, when I called him, he knew who to call.
Yeah.
And get
So you
somebody
couldn't
to
get
the
a hold of
house.
about the sewer plant?
Oh, no, the number's not, it's incorrect in the phone book.
Is it correct? What your phone book was that?
The current one.
No, just, I don't get a phone book, I didn't know, I mean, I haven't.
I don't have a phone book.
I don't either, I don't get one.
Not, I ain't got one in a long time,
I don't
John.
have a phone either, I don't have a landline.
Oh, yeah.
I don't either, but I still
I had somebody call me
And
the
not
other day,
only
they're
that,
like,
it's just people
it's
who
on,
have.
on
You
your
got a phone
left,
book?
they're like, yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there.
I think when I hear this,
Can I go back to motion to adjourn? Are you?
I second.
I was gonna invite
This probably
everyone
wouldn't make
to
the
come
headlines.
tomorrow at, the park, we're gonna accept, a grant that we were awarded through T-Mobile. And, they've just been really generous with us, so I'm thankful that we were able to receive it and,
How much is it?
it's $50,000. And the grant, so, when I wrote the grant, I wanted it to be something that would be beneficial to the kids in the town, that would kind of bring everybody together. At the time, we were running into some issues with the library and the space for their summer reading program. So I thought a good solution or alternative for them would be to create an outdoor classroom space. So I wrote the grant for T-Mobile. They actually let me know that there was 563 applications, and we were chosen one of 25 that were selected for the full 50,000. So I'm just thrilled for the project. I think it'll be good for the town, and you know, it's all going to be covered through the grant, so we don't have to provide a match of any kind. And I just wanna thank you guys for
Are there
the
stipulations
support.
of this grant?
Yes, it has to be the way that it was written for the outdoor classroom. But thank you all for the support that allowed me to.
Well, let me ask you one question. The grant or the thing I brought you yesterday for a grant, right?
That's for paving, they're already doing that,
Okay, so they just want to make sure that it was.
that we
it
were
was done.
aware. They're just making sure we were aware
Okay,
that.
so we are getting the paving done then.
Mhm.
Well, Rock.
Nothing.
Anybody else have anything to say? You all have anything to say?
Tell us about your trip.
Let's adjourn
Where
first.
did you go?
Can we adjourn?
So second it, or
You did go?